Okay, for anyone that's already with us, we'll be starting this presentation in just a couple of minutes. We're just waiting for a few more attendees to arrive. Okay, right, I think we'll make a start. Prynhawn, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining this session today. My name's Annika. I'm the Study Abroad Manager within the Global Opportunities team. I hope you've been having a good fair week so far and have managed to attend lots of sessions. Today's session is about the future of European exchange. I'm just going to spend probably only the next 10 minutes or so explaining a little bit more about the future of European exchange now that the UK has left Europe and that the transition period is coming to an end. So today I'm going to cover where you can go on placement in Europe in future years, and also provide as much information as we have at the moment about visas, health insurance, and importantly funding for the future. Just a note to say that we're recording today's session and you automatically join on mute, so you won't be able to talk to me, but please do post any questions that you think of in the Q&A box. You don't have to wait until the end of the presentation, you can post them throughout. I have my colleague Kim here today. She's going to be managing the questions, and at the end of the presentation, we'll do our best between us to answer any questions that you might have. Okay, so my most important message to you today is that exchanges, both for study and work placements, will be continuing in Europe. So that's a certainty. Many of you will have heard of the Erasmus Plus programme. This is the current programme that provides funding for students to go on exchange in Europe. And some of you might know that Erasmus Plus is funded by the European Commission. So there are question marks as to whether the UK will be able to associate with any future Erasmus programme. The good news is that our 2020, when I say our, so Cardiff University's 2020 Erasmus programme has a duration until May 2023. So many of our current Erasmus Plus partnerships that we have with European universities and institutions are likely to continue for that duration. The further good news is that if the UK cannot join the new Erasmus programme, then the UK plans to develop its own alternative. So again, opportunities for exchange within Europe will continue in the future. It's just we're not 100% sure of the name of that programme at the moment. Right, so there's plenty of destinations where you can go. You can see that we've got over 250 student exchange agreements with different universities around Europe. We're being really proactive at the moment, and we're taking steps to secure our future relationships for exchange. So we're contacting all of our partner universities to make sure that they're willing to continue exchange into the future, so from next academic year onwards. If you're interested and thinking about where you can go, it depends on what you're studying and which school at Cardiff you're studying within. And the best place to look is on our Go intranet pages. You can search by your school and you can see the list of current exchange partners. You can also email erasmus@cardiff.ac.uk if you've got a specific question or if you want to find out more information. So the intranet at the moment is up to date for students going abroad this year. So exchange partnerships are subject to change, but that will give you a good indication as to the types of location you can go to study at the moment. If you're listening and thinking about doing a work placement or what we call a traineeship, then your options aren't limited by our exchange partners. You can choose to work at any recognised institution, organisation, industry within Europe, so long as your academic school approves. So don't feel you're limited by the choice of exchange partners that we have currently. Okay, there's quite a lot of information on this slide. Currently, UK students studying or working in Europe do not require a visa. Now, this is likely to change from the 1st of January 2021 onwards. And at the moment, many of the details are a little bit sketchy and there's lots of facts still to be confirmed. But I think that most of you listening today will not be due to go abroad until summer of 2021 at the earliest, and by that point in time we fully expect to have received much more information about visa requirements for students who would like to study or work in Europe. What we can confirm at the moment is that any student who is due to study or work abroad from January onwards is likely to require a visa or a residence permit for your exchange. That's for exchanges that are over 90 days in duration, of which most of you will be completing a placement that is longer than 90 days. Now, your host university or your employer will provide you with information about the type of visa that you'll require before you start your placement. It's likely that you'll need to apply in advance, and there may even be a small cost for the application. All of these details will be confirmed by your host, and as I say, we should know more by the time that you're due to start your placement. At the moment, we've got some best practice, and we know that students may need to demonstrate a letter of sponsorship or proof of their proof of enrolment at their host institution. They may need to even demonstrate proof of accommodation and proof of funds. But again, at the point of application, your host will provide you with guidance as to what exactly you need. Of course, if we've any EU students listening in today, there's no need for you to apply for a visa, so all is good from that point of view. And if you're an international student, you will of course need a visa, and that will be specific to your nationality. So again, you can contact the host and they will have a team that's able to provide advice and guidance for you. I appreciate some of you might have questions about this, so please do post any questions you have and I'll do my best to answer them at the end. A further change we're expecting from January 2021 onwards is to health insurance. Some of you might be familiar with the European Health Insurance Card, or EHIC as it's more commonly known. You might have one for when you're just travelling around Europe, if you in the summer, for example. Students who are abroad at the moment do benefit from a student EHIC card. However, after the 1st of January, this may not be valid. It's nothing to worry about, because if you start your placement after the 1st of January, you will be automatically covered by Cardiff University's travel cover provider. They're called UMAL, and that will provide you with comprehensive health and travel cover. and that will be issued to you before you leave. So please do get in touch if you haven't heard from either your school or Global Opportunities, but you will receive a travel policy summary in advance of your placement. It's really important that you read that in advance and that you fully understand it and ask us any questions that you might have before you start your placement abroad. The big difference at the moment is that the EHIC has no fee whatsoever, but students may be required to pay an initial fee of around about £25 with the UMAL insurance, whereas at the moment EHIC waives this fee. And just a note, in case some of you are planning to travel around your placement for fun or to visit places, you will be required to take out your own travel insurance in addition to the travel cover provided by the university. Okay, so funding and grants. At the moment, students taking part in Exchange to Europe receive or are eligible to receive an Erasmus grant. It's paid on a monthly basis. If the UK can no longer participate in Erasmus in the future, then there are questions surrounding funding and where that will come from. The good news for you is that Cardiff University is able to confirm that students taking part in European Exchange for the remainder of this year, for the 2021/22 academic year, and for 22/23 academic year will be eligible to receive funding. There's likely to be a maximum duration that will apply. So, for example, if you're thinking of spending a semester abroad, the maximum amount of grant you'll be able to receive will be 4.5 months worth of funding. And if you're spending a full academic year abroad, the maximum grant will be for 9 months. You can stay longer if your programme continues for longer, or if your work placement, if you want to stay longer than that, that's fine. But you're likely not to be able to receive funding for the additional time over those maximum periods. I can't confirm the grant amount either, but just to give you an indication, students studying and working abroad this academic year receive between €370 and €520 a month, and that depends on the type of placement and where the student is carrying out their placement. That's just to give you an indication of the level of funding that students receive now. As I said, we can't confirm the amounts for future years, but we would hope that we'll try to keep them around about that figure, but that is all subject to confirmation. Obviously, as soon as we find out, we will let you know at the earliest opportunity. And in order to be able to be eligible to receive the funding or comply with keeping your funding, you'll be asked to complete a range of essential documentation. And again, that might change. It might differ in the future to how it looks at the moment, but we will, and colleagues in the Erasmus team will guide you through that documentation. Okay, so that's the end of all the information I can provide you at the moment. There is now an opportunity to ask questions, but before we do so, or whilst you're typing them away, I just wanted to highlight that we have got a feedback survey, and I'd ask you to take a moment or two following this presentation to complete the survey. It's very short. It's just that this is our first virtual Global Opportunities Week, so we're very keen to hear about what you think and any ideas as to how we might improve it in the future. Okay, thank you. That's all from me, but over to Kim, if you can see any questions for me, Kim, I'll be happy to answer.
The question is, will Cardiff be able to help me apply for a European visa?
Well, sorry, let me just check. My internet's a bit dodgy, so you cut out there. Did you say, will Cardiff be able to help me apply for my European visa?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we're We can give you some guidance, but we're not visa experts. And because the visa is different depending on which country you're going to, it's best to check with your host institution or your employer, because obviously visa rules will change in each country. What we have done is we've surveyed all of our current European exchange partners at the moment to ask them as to what type of visa, if they're aware, what type of visa students will require, and who within their institution can provide guidance to students needing to make a visa application. So we're hoping to have those responses by the start of December, and then we will disseminate that information to students. So we're very happy to provide as much general guidance and support as we can, but it is the responsibility of your host institution to provide you with the most up-to-date and accurate information.
Thanks, Annika. We've got another one. Apologies if you can hear an echo of my voice. A student has asked that if they can have a link to the list of the destinations they're struggling to find the page, so I'm happy to try and post that in the Q&A now.
Oh, absolutely, yes, yeah, that's a great idea. And then when you're on the Go intranet, it's just, I appreciate there's lots of pages, so it is about familiarisation, but you'll see your list. You should be able to identify your school, and then if you click on your school, then each page is specific to your school. Excuse me. Sometimes, depending on what you're studying, there might be separate information for different disciplines within the school. So, for example, let me try and think of an accurate example here. So if you're studying within School of History, Archaeology and Religion, there might be certain partners that are best for students studying religion, for example, whereas other partners will be more comprehensive and they'll be appropriate for students taking any subject within the school. So that should be quite clear on the page, but do let us know if once you've taken a look and you're unclear on anything, please just drop Erasmus an email and we can guide you through that as well.
Thanks, Annika. Just waiting for a few more questions to potentially come in. There's none at the moment, but we're happy to hang around for a little while in case you do think of any.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. If anyone does need to dash off, obviously you're free to leave, so please don't feel you have to stay. But we're very happy to wait a few more minutes if anyone is busy typing in a question.
I'll just pop the link to the survey into the Q&A as well, so if anybody is able to complete that, we'd be really grateful. No new questions as yet. Oh, so we've just got another one come in. I might be able to help with this, Annika. So what are the application deadlines for the programme of 2021-22 this year if we were interested in a placement during semester 1 or 2? So
Kim, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I thought that might be easier. So the application deadline depends on your academic school. So if you are looking to go abroad next autumn semester or for the full year, so say from September onwards, the application deadlines are likely to be towards the end of this semester. As I said, it depends on which school you're in. You may not have had your promotional presentation yet, or the applications may not have opened. If you are eligible to go in the spring semester, the applications will open in this coming spring semester, so spring 2021, ready for you to go abroad then in spring 22. So if you wanted to provide the details of your school, I can try and be a bit more specific, or alternatively you can get in touch separately if you wanted a bit more detail. Also, if a student was looking to study at an American institution, would there be funding as well?
Oh, right, okay. Yes, so sorry, all of the information I've given is in relation to European exchange, but the university does have similar opportunities for students looking to go outside of Europe, and we've got many partners within the USA. Now, currently, students can apply for a one-off bursary through Global Opportunities. So very differently to European exchange, it's not paid on a monthly rate, it's purely one-off. Now, this bursary is subject to confirmation again for future years. To give you an idea of the level, this year, so for students studying outside of Europe, for a full academic year, students receive £700 as a one-off bursary, or for one semester, they receive a £500 bursary. We should be able to start confirming bursary levels for international exchange, hopefully as soon as the spring semester in 2021. So we will update you as soon as we've received confirmation, but those levels aren't confirmed at the moment. I should also say there's also something called a PTY Abroad Award. So that's for students who are looking to complete a work placement outside of Europe. And again, that's a one-off bursary for students completing a full year work placement. Or placement in industry, and we do promote that opportunity via your academic school, and again you would look to apply if you were due to start your PTY or your work placement outside of Europe in the autumn of 2021-22. You will be advertising this in spring of 2021, so you should hear from either Global Opportunities or your school about details of that award, but again that is subject to confirmation at this time.
Another question just comes through, I think it's a follow-up, sorry, from the previous one, about the application deadline. So the student is attending the School of Law and Politics and is an international relations and a language student. And my understanding for that, Annika, is that would be through the School of Modern Languages, is that right?
That's correct, yes. So your home school for the exchange year is would be MLang. So if you get in touch with MLang, and they'll be able to confirm deadlines within that school.
Thank you.
Okay, well, perhaps if there's no more questions, we'll bring the session to an end. If you do think of any questions following, please do email erasmus@cardiff.ac.uk, and my colleague Andrew or Kim will be very pleased to respond to your question. Thank you very much for attending. We do hope you've been able to tune into a number of sessions this week. So please do complete the survey if you do get a moment to, as we'll really value your views on how it's gone. But if not, thank you very much, and have a good weekend. Bye bye.